So many times. So many times I heard from many different people the same message. Oh my God, he's so much controlling me. I can't do anything. Another side. Oh my God, she's such a control freak. So, who is wrong? Who is right? Who controls more? Man or woman? And if such statistic, official one, exists, I would throw that straight through the window. You know why? Because any woman and man have control issues equally. The only one statistic I would be concerned about, and I would gladly do that, to see how much of our population has this issue. And if I could tell it from my intuitive perspective, I would give minimum 95% of people have that control issue, and I would see even more. How comes? Why? You will understand at the end of this video, after I will explain what control issues actually means, also how it plays out in real life situations, and I will describe the psychological roots, where it comes from. So when you will see what the roots are, you will understand why it's minimum 95% of population has this issue of control. And at the end of the video, I will give you one tip how to deal with that. So keep watching. Before diving deep into this topic, let's define what control issues actually means. First, what it means. The most popular, the most common, and you all and each probably know this. When a person tries to control another person, how he or she acts, dresses, looks, talks, thinks, feels even. Did you have such experience? When a person, and for example, that could manifest not only in a romantic relationship, but also in the family between parent and a child. When it comes to parent and a child, it plays out in a very simple example. When a parent decides what a child gonna wear today, what they will dress their kid today, what they will dress with. So parents, based on their ego, what looks beautiful for them, what fits, what suits, what doesn't, they decide that a child will be in those clothes today. And that's why I so much adore the technique and the way how my brother raises his children. They let their kids to open the wardrobe widely and choose what they want to wear today. And it doesn't matter if it suits or not. Sometimes it's complete mess of colors, of texture, of even short sleeves or long sleeves. Everything is mixed. But anyway, it's not about parents, what parents want. I don't know, to show off in front of other parents what the beautiful, stylish child they have. No, it's all about the child. How they want to feel and how they want to look. So that's how also manifests in relationship in the family. Okay, second control issue, what it means. Emotional control. And emotional control can manifest in few different ways. When we control our vulnerable emotions, actually when we don't want to show vulnerability, either way, or when we feel positive emotions like love, affection for somebody, maybe passion, or when we feel sad and we don't want others to know that we feel sad. Why? Because most likely we don't want to burden our friends with our negative emotions. So we control how we express our emotions and if we express those or not. So yeah, 2. Then third example of what the control issue is controlling the process. And it could manifest in a couple of ways as well. For example, when it comes to business, to the job, a person has a task to do something, what they usually do. And this time they're doing, and it doesn't happen. Something doesn't work. But because of person's ego, that I know how to do it. I've been doing this for so long. I learned about it so much. I know that this must be this way and not the other. And then they force it, and anyway it doesn't happen. Instead, what they could do, step back and ask themselves, okay, it obviously doesn't work. Maybe my knowledge is not correct. Let's try to find another solution. But no, they want to prove themselves and to others that they can do it. So that's how they're controlling the process. When it comes to romantic relationships, very common, very popular. Especially among ladies and women. When it's just the beginning of a romantic relationship, it's just, that first fitty-mitty. And after a very short period of time, lady or woman immediately becomes anxious and puts pressure on the guy, okay, so who are we now? Are we a couple? What is our status? Let's say after a week or 2, or even after a month. So this also how control issue manifests. But I want to mention here, don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong in the way that it's not okay to define the status of the relationship. Here I'm talking more about the extreme, when it's too fast. Also, when it's too long, it's another extreme that is also not good. It's okay to know your place in the situation, but it just depends on the timing. Okay, so first is controlling another person. Second is controlling the emotions. Third is controlling the process. And the final one, the fourth one, is controlling the outcome of the situation. And by that I mean that how it can manifest. Now I'm thinking my way or a highway. It's very similar to controlling the process actually, but it's more directed focus to the outcome. Yeah, I know. What kind of the outcome I want from this situation, on that depends what I'm going to say and what I'm going to do. So I will control my actions, physical and verbal, in order to maneuver in the situation to get the final outcome that I want. Instead of being authentic and expressing emotions and how you feel and what you want and what your needs are, you are like a fox going round and around and around and controlling the everything, and because you want to get a specific outcome from that situation. So, for examples, what control issues are. Let's go to the nature of control issues, how it manifests, why people do that. It's not roots. Now I will not talk about the roots of the issue, but it's kind of layer. One layer why they do that, why people do that, why we do that. And then the roots of the roots, psychological reasons why people do that. So, first, when a person controls another person, it's a first sign that they don't love themselves. That's a lack of self-love. Because when a person wants to control another one, it shows how much that person is projecting their own emotional wounds on another person. And about that, emotional wounds, what is the cause root, I will talk later. What else? And another reason why people do that is insecurities. Like when people control their emotions, when people control the process and control the outcome, it tells a message about a person having serious or less serious insecurities. And also, I would say, when it comes to insecurities, that it's also a lack of faith. It's very common that those insecurities have people who have 3D mentality, who is not in touch with the spiritual world, with the spiritual side of a person. And they think that what I see is what I have and how it is. So there is no vision behind of what I see, what I know, what I can touch, what I can smell, and what I can prove. So that's why I need to control. But let's go deeper to the roots of the issue. So all these control issues, 4 of them, comes, as I always say. Sorry guys if I'm looking to other direction. I have my notes because I would lose myself if I wouldn't put my thoughts in order, because I could talk and talk and talk non-stop about it and lose myself and again come back. So it's better for you if I have such. Okay, let's continue. The roots of the issue of control is, of course, as all issues are coming from our childhood. That's what we learned when we were kids, because we were watching our parents, how they are dealing with life, how they are dealing with other people, and so on. So now you will understand why at least 95% of our population have this control these control issues, because the one that is controlling is coming from the same type of family dynamic. And that family dynamic I would call emotionally immature family. And it's not that one parent is emotionally immature. It's both parents are emotionally mature. Because such thing as one is mature and one is not doesn't exist. Because like attracts like. Emotionally mature person wouldn't stay in family with emotionally immature. So, because of that, because nobody taught us, because especially generations behind us, they didn't have such access as we do have now to information, to all what we know now, to the way how our consciousness expanded. In meantime, they didn't know about such things. Psychology was something like awkward and even taboo, because if you need a psychologist, it means something is wrong with you. So because of that, most of our population have control issues. And when it comes to deeper cause, how that emotional immaturity manifests, I would say that one or two parents, when they are emotionally or physically, not emotionally, but when they are verbally or physically violent, because it's either way. When somebody is verbally violent or physically violent, then it affects our emotions. So in general, it's emotional violence, but more specifically, when it's verbally violent parent or physically. So, so when a parents or one of them, actually, yeah, both of them are the same, different types of, but still, a child, that violence can be directed towards a child directly. When a parent is violent towards a child, for example, beats him or her for doing something, or criticizes and neglects and insults a child, or it can be parent not necessarily does it for a child, but does it for another people. It can be a spouse, it can be friends, close environment, anybody that a child sees an example of such behavior, it already affects a child. So, when a parent is extremely critical, judgmental, they are also very, very controlling. So it manifests when a child grows up in such an environment, when they were criticized for everything they did, for their ideas, for their actions, and when they were judged, and especially when they were shamed in front of others. Those people, when they grow up, they mimic the same behavior to other people, and very, very common, and basically always they will repeat the same behavior pattern in their own romantic relationship. They will criticize, they will judge a person, and these are the tools how they will control their partner, because they will want them to act, to think, to talk, to behave the way they want, because that's all what they learn from their parent. If they were treating them this way, they know that, okay, if I want to get something, I must act with the other person the same as somebody acted with me. But it's subconscious. Unless a person becomes conscious and still anyway does it. Then, when a parent is physically violent, then it manifests a person that grew up in physical violence, in family full of physical violence, then that person will develop very strict control issues, to the point that socks must be like that put, or especially the most common sign is when a person has their daily routine set in order, and if something happens out of that order, it freaks them out. They don't feel comfortable, they feel threatened that things are not going how they planned. So that's a very huge struggle for those people. And why? Because when a person grows up in a physical violence, of course that brain develops in such a way that, okay, wait, I have an issue. It's not even an issue. It's like, I need to protect myself. The danger is coming, so I need to control and how I feel and what I say and how I express myself, and also because they probably were beaten up or any other way violence was used for something they did wrong according to parents, then they will think a lot how they are doing things, and also they will find safety, like very strict daily routine is like their safety blanket, They feel safe when they know what's coming up next. Because a child who grew up in chaotic and violent environment, it doesn't feel stable. So of course that child will want stability and insurance of the future. So that's why that strict routine comes into play. Then in violent environments, people who grew up in such, I mentioned already that they are controlling their emotions, expression of their emotions, who they allow closer to them, but usually they don't allow many people close to them. It's like one or two. So they are basically emotionally unavailable because they learned by the example that if I show, when they were a kid, that if I show my emotion that I don't feel good about something, I will be beaten up by my dad or my mom. So I can't express my emotions because those emotions will not be validated. What is not true. When we grow up, it's a different story. We are not children anymore. That's not our past anymore. So, those people from violent families also will shut down emotionally and will control it. Then, also one interesting thing, another way when a parent is emotionally unavailable himself or herself, not necessarily that parents should be violent. They just don't know how to express emotion, vulnerable emotions. So a kid who grew up in such an environment, in adulthood, they will, they will manipulate others, probably without even realizing that they are doing this. And how? By mixed signals. Because when somebody doesn't know how to express emotions, how to show vulnerability, they will go in circles, round and around. And when it comes to romantic relationships, or not even romantic relationships, it can be friendships. When a person needs something and wants to express, verbalize, but they don't know how, or they are so much afraid to do that, that they will go in circles in order to get what they want. For example, let's say I very want to borrow that dress from my friend. It looks so good, and tomorrow I have a party and I don't have a dress. So, because I will be afraid to express my emotion, to ask, it feels uncomfortable, because also it applies in violent family, for children who born in a violent family. Also the same. Now I see that if I ask something, I will be beaten up. So I will not ask because I'm afraid to ask. What will happen? What the reaction I will get? That, always unknown. What to expect? I don't know what to expect if I ask. And if the answer is no, it's like, oh my God, the answer is no, rejection. The same as from childhood. So if I want that dress and I'm afraid to express it to my friend, I will go in circles. I don't have any dress. I burned the last one or whatever, or none of them fits for me anymore. And tomorrow I have a party. It would be so cool to have a dress. And that's the way how I would expect my friend to offer her dress. So it's manipulation. When it comes to romantic relationships, when somebody feels affection, emotions, feelings for another person, and they don't know how to verbalize, express it, show it, when they have those fears of vulnerability, basically when they are emotionally unavailable, then they will feed the other person with mixed signals. And then it will cause like mind games, emotional games, and that's also kind of manipulation. Intentional or non-intentional, but still it's manipulation. So yeah, this thing, and yeah, that's it. All what I wanted to say. It's pretty long video actually today, but okay. How to deal with the control issues. And after I talked so much different scenarios, different reasons why people do that, different kind of control issues, and there's only one solution, one tip, how comes? But yeah, that one single tip is improve your emotional maturity. Work on your emotions. And how to do it, you will see, you will hear in my next videos. So, see you there. Ciao!